Tens of thousands of years ago, winter was not simply a slightly colder season like it is today. For ancient humans, it was the most terrifying time of the year, when nature could take their lives at any moment. There were no insulated houses, no heaters, no thick modern clothing or warm blankets. When night fell, the temperature dropped so low that even their breath turned into white mist in the freezing darkness. Many tribes lived inside damp caves or crude shelters built from branches, dry leaves, and animal skins. Cold wind slipped through every small crack and blew relentlessly throughout the night. A sudden snowstorm or one unusually cold night could mean an entire family would never wake up again. For most of human history, surviving winter was a real battle, not something ordinary or guaranteed like it is today. For our ancestors, simply waking up alive after a freezing night was sometimes considered an incredible blessing. While sleeping in freezing conditions, the human body loses heat extremely quickly. Ancient people often slept directly on cold ground or thin layers of dry grass, while harsh winter winds howled outside without stopping. At first, it was only a sharp, cold feeling in the feet and fingertips, but as the night grew deeper, the cold slowly spread through the body until uncontrollable shivering took over. Some people woke up in the middle of the night and realized their hands could barely feel anything anymore. Their lips became stiff, their breathing heavy, and their bodies felt as rigid as stone. In extreme cold, even standing up and taking a few steps could become painfully difficult. The terrifying part was that they had no idea when their bodies were approaching dangerous hypothermia. For ancient humans, sleep was sometimes like a survival gamble, where no one truly knew whether they would wake up the next morning. And in many cases, the cold came so slowly that people did not even realize danger was quietly consuming their bodies. To survive such brutal cold, ancient humans relied on each other's body heat. They slept tightly packed together in small spaces so warmth would not escape too quickly. Children were usually placed in the center, where it was warmest, while adults surrounded them on the outside to block the freezing wind. Elderly people, or those with weaker bodies, were often allowed to sleep closer to the fire to avoid losing heat too quickly during the night. On harsh winter nights, entire tribes almost curled together into a single mass of bodies in the darkness. They could hear each other breathing, feel the warmth from the person beside them, and struggle to stay alive through the endless freezing night. Today, we think of sleeping comfortably as something normal. But for ancient humans, simply having another person lying nearby for warmth could sometimes mean the difference between life and death. That is why the bond between members of an ancient tribe was not only emotional, it was also a crucial part of survival itself. In the ancient world, fire was not only used for cooking or light. During winter, it determined whether an entire tribe would survive. Before sleeping, people tried to keep glowing embers alive through the night so the fire would never completely die out. Some members of the tribe had to wake up repeatedly during the night to add wood and check the flames, because if the fire disappeared for even a few hours, the temperature inside the cave could become dangerously cold. The weak orange glow of fire, reflecting against freezing stone walls, was often the only thing that made people feel safe in the middle of the wild. But maintaining fire was never easy. During long, rainy periods or heavy snowfall, dry wood became extremely valuable. If the tribe failed to gather enough fuel before nightfall, everyone could be forced to endure a freezing night where their bodies nearly turned numb from the cold. In some places, losing fire was considered a disaster because starting a new fire in ancient times was far more difficult than simply lighting a modern lighter today. Ancient humans used everything they had to fight against the cold. After every hunt, animal skins were preserved and used as insulation while sleeping. Thick hides covered with fur and natural fat helped block freezing wind and trap body heat for longer periods of time. People wrapped multiple layers of skins around themselves, especially around the feet and shoulders, where heat escaped the fastest. Some tribes also placed dry grass or leaves beneath their sleeping areas to reduce the cold rising from the ground. Even so, staying warm remained incredibly difficult. When rain or melting snow soaked the animal skins, they became heavy, damp, and freezing cold. Ancient humans often woke up with aching bodies, stiff limbs, and trembling breath in the icy air. During long winters, the cold alone could completely exhaust people as they struggled night after night simply to survive. In a world without modern clothing or insulation materials, the human body was forced to battle nature almost directly. The most frightening thing about winter in ancient times was that people rarely had the chance to make mistakes twice. Sleeping too close to the frozen ground, wearing wet clothing, or accidentally letting the fire die during the night could all lead to deadly consequences. As body temperature dropped dangerously low, the body itself began to slow down. People became sleepier, weaker, and gradually lost awareness without realizing how close death truly was. Many researchers believe that throughout ancient history, countless people simply fell asleep during freezing nights and never woke up again. There was no modern medicine, no emergency blankets, no heating systems, only the freezing force of nature and the fragile human body struggling to survive one more day. For ancient humans, winter was not merely uncomfortable or inconvenient like it is today. It was one of the harshest survival challenges they faced year after year. Today, we can easily turn on a heater, wrap ourselves in thick blankets, or sleep inside warm rooms without thinking much about it. But for most of human history, these simple comforts were unimaginable luxuries. Our ancestors fought against winter using fire, animal skins, and the warmth of one another. They had no modern technology to protect themselves from the cold, only survival knowledge passed down through generations. Perhaps because modern life is so comfortable, we often forget that even one warm and peaceful night of sleep was once an extraordinary gift. And when we look back at the lives of ancient humans, we realize that waking up safely each morning used to be a great blessing for humanity. Many of the ordinary comforts we barely notice today were things our ancestors once had to struggle desperately to obtain. What are your thoughts after watching this video? Can you imagine what life was like for ancient humans long ago? I would really love to know how much empathy you feel for them. Please leave a comment below the video so we can discuss and explore more fascinating topics together.